Batman?
First off, as I come out of the darkness, I saw the new Batman. It was freaking awesome. So if you've seen it as well, let me know down in the comment section below what you thought of it. And personally, I also really dug Robert Pattinson as Batman. I thought he had a fantastic presence. He brought a lot of confidence to the role, and it worked. It worked for me anyway. And, you know, on the subject of Robert Pattinson, as they call him now, when he was originally cast in the role, he ruffled some feathers when he said that he was not going to be working out to play the Batman. And, you know, everybody lost their minds.
Well, then everyone loses their minds.
I was a bit upset too, but a large part of me was like, I mean, he's probably trolling, or maybe his words were taken out of context, something like that. And of course, it has since been made known that he did, in fact, work out for the role. And it's like, you would have to. If you're going to play Batman, one of the reasons why he's such a popular character and why he's endured so much throughout all the years is that he's a dude. He's a human dude who can hold his own alongside all these super people. Because, you know, he's a master detective, master martial artist, mastered his body. And so an actor playing this character, you'd want him to work out, right? I mean, it should go without saying. Now, again, clearly, Robert Pattinson, he did. And, you know, you can look into his routine online. You can find out a little bit more about what he did. But that's really not that important. We'll touch on that later. What I really wanted to touch on, though, in this video, at least to start things off, is I find it really cool that he refused to take performance enhancers, steroids, what have you, to prepare for the role, to get the physique needed to play a superhero.
In his original statement, I'm pretty sure he was trying to allude to the steroid culture in Hollywood that perpetuates unrealistic physiques, that he didn't want to take part in that. His body looks great for a natural athlete and should be what is promoted by the fitness industry. You can sort of see where he might be alluding to the steroid use thing, because a lot of guys get in immaculate shape when they don't look like much beforehand, and, you know, they lie about it and just keep it under wraps.
Which I commend him for, because thankfully it's being made more clear in recent times that when actors bulk up to play a role, oftentimes a superhero, that there are likely going to be steroids, performance enhancers of some kind in the equation. Now, the actors can't be honest about this, they can't admit to it, but the fitness space is very savvy to it. It's like, we know what is possible, we know what is achievable naturally versus not, and yeah, it's been made pretty damn obvious that there's usually some tomfoolery going on in terms of playing with the body chemistry. But yes, Robert Pattinson, he refused to take drugs, which I commend that. It shouldn't be expected that you should jump on the juice just because you're playing a superhero. And I love too that this also further opens up the conversation and can make it more known, like, what is really going on. And it can set up more realistic expectations for people who watch these movies, for people who look up to these actors, for people who want to have a body transformation of their own. Now, going back to what I said before, is like, you can look up and see what Robert Pattinson did in order to prepare for this role, at least allegedly, based on whatever you can find online. But really, it's not that important. It's really not. There's Men's Health is often will showcase a lot of the celebrity workouts for various different things, whether a movie role or just what a celebrity will do in general. And it is cool to observe, but at the end of the day, a lot of the times the protocols that these celebrities are put on, or at least what's being reported, it's like, there are so many different ways to build muscle effectively, to build muscle in a healthy way. And a lot of times what you'll find that these actors did, it's like, sometimes it's not sustainable, and sometimes it's just not even just that necessary. You can find fantastic information on how to build muscle, to get fit, to get healthy, just on YouTube with all these various different fitness personalities, fitness influencers, if you want to call them that. And it's curious too, though, and this also came up recently with Channing Tatum in preparing for Magic Mike 3.
No, don't put that up.
I would put that, if I worked out and looked like that, I would put it up everywhere.
It's hard to look like, even if you do work out, to be that kind of in shape is not, it's not natural.
Do you have to eat like so well?
Yeah, you have to, that's not even healthy. You have to starve yourself.
Oh my God.
I don't think when you're that lean, it's actually
health is dangerous.
It is, it's true.
It's just, you hear about the diet protocols that these actors are often put on, and it's like, who are their trainers? Who are their dietitians? Like, what are, like, their nutritionists? Who are their chefs? Like, why are they just suffering so much in order to get in shape for these roles, whether drugs are in the equation or otherwise? It's like, it does not need to be like that. Like, you hear Robert Pattinson talking about the boiled fish or whatever it is that he had to eat a lot in preparation for the role.
And just eating it. I never want to see a piece of white fish with just lemon on it. Boiled fish.
No, it's true.
Or dehydrating himself. And it's like, it's interesting too to know. I recently watched a More Plates, More Dates video on this, and that's one of the things that inspired this video, but I also was planning to touch on this regardless. Just celebrity body transformations, and specifically like sticking to the Batman theme, since the new Batman just came out. So, but when looking at Batman, it's actually quite interesting. You can go back as far as like Adam West, way back when, like 1960s era Batman, and he was not in like particularly fantastic shape, or at least shape that you would expect a superhero to be in. But people loved it. I loved it. I still think the 1966 Batman movie is a really fun time. I highly encourage you watch it.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
So then it would be a couple decades before we would get like another big feature Batman film in theaters, and that was, of course, the 1989 Tim Burton Batman film where Michael Keaton played Batman, and of course there was a big stir when he was cast as Batman, as there always is when someone's cast as Batman. It happened, anyway, I'll get to it, but yeah, Michael Keaton, if you look up Michael Keaton workout for Batman, I think you can find approximately one photo of him working out. He's doing a leg extension, but yeah, this was of a time when you would think that they would cast somebody like a Sylvester Stallone possibly in a role such as Batman, because he had the physique and he was of that era. But they cast Michael Keaton instead and give him the muscle suit instead. And again, ultimately people loved it, and I loved it too. Still love it, still fantastic, and the muscle suit would stick throughout the years. I mean, Michael Keaton would be in another Batman movie, Batman Returns. Yeah, and then in 95, we would get Batman Forever, which had Val Kilmer playing Batman, Bruce Wayne. And he didn't get in crazy shape for that either. Like, he looked fit, he looked healthy, but again, not jacked out of his wits or anything like that. And then we would eventually, after that, we would get Batman and Robin, the next installment with George Clooney playing Batman this time around. But it was more like just George Clooney being George Clooney.
7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
And of course we had good old Schwarzenegger in there too.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
And this is also when we would begin to see the bat nips alongside the muscle suits, making the suits a little more anatomically correct. And then it would be quite a few years after that movie that made a lot of people very upset. It would be quite a few years before we would then get Batman Begins, which that was when we would first see an actor really taking his physique to the next level in order to play the role. It can be assumed that perhaps Christian Bale was using performance enhancers in order to bulk up. I don't know, he could have done it naturally. He had just come off of The Machinist, where he was absolutely emaciated beyond what any actor has probably ever been for a role, like as far as just losing weight goes. Just horrifyingly skinny. And then would go on again to bulk up to play Batman, and apparently he originally was actually too bulky, too fat, so then he had to cut down a little bit to actually when they were actually going to be filming the movie. And they actually, interestingly enough, didn't really show his physique off all that much in the movie, which I find quite interesting. And then that would continue on with The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. They wouldn't really show his physique all that much. And the suit this time around too, it's muscly looking, but it's also a bit more armored looking. It's not like the exaggerated, actual, you can see the pecs and the abs in this really detailed way. And, no more bat nips either. And also, since we're touching on celebrity body transformations, it's worth mentioning Tom Hardy in The Dark Knight Rises, because I loved him in the role. I do not think he was miscast. But at the same time, I do not think he legitimately had the proper physicality to play that role. He's since come out and said that he doesn't really think he did either.
If we look closely, if we really study the photographs, I was really overweight. Actually, I ate a lot, and I was not much heavier than I am now, but I just ate more pizza.
They shoot you from low to make you look big. WWE does this as well. I was just bald, slightly porky, with pencil arms. That's the magic of lighting, and 3 or 4 months of lifting and training and eating lots of pizza. It wasn't great for my heart. And what's the most important muscle in the body? Your heart. That's right, we say it together. The point was just to look as big as possible. I actually have really skinny legs, and my friend Jacob, my stuntman, liked to say, why did Tom come in riding an emu?
It was a lot more just using the right angles and lighting and whatever to make him look more big than he actually was. When in actuality, it's like he had some muscle mass, but it was covered up by quite a bit of fat, which is precisely why they barely show his body off in the movie at all. Now, I'm not trying to body shame here, I promise you. I'm speaking from, this is what Bane looks like in the comics, and this is what he looked like in the movie, you see? Now, again, I thought Tom Hardy smashed it. I found him to be, despite everything I said, really intimidating, had a great on-screen presence, and I still believed he was bigger than he actually was a lot of the time. But anyway, that was just a little aside. No hate towards Tom Hardy. And then we would get good old Ben Affleck, Batman. And I thought he did a great job as both Bruce Wayne and Batman, but it's interesting because I'm sure he got into pretty good shape to play the role, but when they show him off in Batman vs. Superman, his definition, his muscular definition is CGI. It is not real. I promise you. Like, there's a reason they shoot it the way that they do. The muscles aren't real. So, that then brings us to Robert Pattinson as Batman. And again, he originally said, I'm not going to work out for this role. But that turned out not to be true. And then we see him in the movie. I think he looks great. He obviously doesn't look like jacked out of his mind. He's not like Chris Hemsworth as Thor, or Chris Evans as Captain America, or even Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. He looks very fit and athletic. They don't really show his physique off too much. But again, what I really wanted to talk about is how I commend him for refusing to compromise his health for the role, and as a part of that too, setting a good example. Now, the point of this video is not to belittle those that take performance-enhancing drugs. My main issue with PEDs in general is the dishonesty surrounding them. And we're living in an age where they're becoming more prevalent, and there's, thankfully, is quite a bit more honesty and transparency around them. Not quite as much in Hollywood, but again, we have people like Derek More Plates, More Dates, and, plenty of people in the industry who are making it very clear that, hey, this is not being done natural in most cases. So perhaps this will start a trend. I don't know. I love when the actors look the part. I want them to look the part. I want them to embody the superhero. But at the same time, perhaps we can find a way to have the best of both worlds. I don't know. Like, there are plenty of actors out there who will do extreme body modification in some way, shape, or form, whether it's losing a bunch of weight, gaining a bunch of weight, gaining a bunch of muscle, whatever the case may be. I guess at the end of the day, as somebody who is passionate about fitness and wants people to be healthy as a part of their fitness, because I think that fitness and health should go hand in hand. And generally speaking, extremes are not going to be good. They're not going to be a true part of the fitness equation as far as I'm concerned. So the example that Robert Pattinson may be setting may be a good one, but again, it's interesting too, as Derek points out in his video.
Kind of interesting to me how the guy is so perhaps against anabolic use to a point that he wants to make a little statement alluding to the fact, inconspicuously, that he is not going to use shit like the others. But he is instead going to eat crumbs of rice, bland chicken with no micronutrients, and then count sips of water and stress the fuck out of his kidneys to step into a scene. Which one is healthier?
Is it all that much healthier to do the dehydration and, the salt deprivation, all that stuff? Is that all that much better? And really was it that necessary for Robert Pattinson to do that, given the fact that he wasn't even particularly low body fat in the movie? Did that really enhance anything that much? again, that kind of brings me back to, like, who are these trainers and who is making these calls? Like, I'm not trying to act like I know everything, but my goodness, I feel like I could train these celebrities way better and set them up on a diet plan that is way better. And going back then on what I was going to touch on earlier is every time an actor was cast to play Batman, pretty much every single time, from Michael Keaton up through Robert Pattinson, the masses, at least those who cared enough to took issue with the casting. They're always like, no, that's not Bruce Wayne, that's not Batman. And then pretty much every time, people will kick themselves in the end and be like, okay, that actually worked. Like, they never learn their freaking lesson, ever. Also, if you watched up to this point, if you listened to my ramblings to this point, I'd love to hear what your favorite Batman movie is, or who your favorite Batman is, or who your favorite Batman villain is. Personally, it's not that unique of an answer, but I probably would say my favorite Batman movie is The Dark Knight. I mean, that's like what everybody says, but most of the Batman movies have a place in my heart, to be honest. Like, even Batman and Robin, like, I can watch that movie. I think it's fun. And as far as the villains go, like, of course, Heath Ledger's Joker is iconic as they come, but god damn, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
Meow.
That is, to me, that is one of the greats. Like, truly one of the greats. The performance, the costume, the everything about that, phenomenal. So yeah, that's more or less what I wanted to say. If you enjoyed my ramble, let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know all the other things I asked you to let me know, and hit that like button if you liked it. Subscribe if you're not already. I would greatly appreciate it. I'd love to have you as a part of my little community, so to speak. And have a great day, night, evening, whatever it might be for ya. Bye-bye.